Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ladies of the PGS. I am your host, Artem, and of course, we have with us tonight Lorena Creole. Lorena, how are you tonight?
I am doing great, doing wonderful, and so glad to be here with all of you here on the Burnettwork.
Yes, it is wonderful to have you here as well, Lorena. And there is so much going on in entertainment right now. And of course, we can't start this episode without obviously talking about the incredible Oscar turnout last night. Honestly, Lorena, you and I had a lot of people we were cheering for these Oscar wins. Of course, one of the ones that stands out to me is RRR. You and I both have the opinion that they certainly did deserve to be recognized with an Oscar for their contribution for this incredible film that seemed to fill a gap, a void in entertainment just generally, worldwide. Here it says that the viewership was up 12% to 18 million, but still among the least watched award ceremony. However,
Hmm.
even despite this, Lorena, my goodness, everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once. One of the films that you mentioned was one of your favorite films. Absolutely performed miraculously, with, of course, Michelle Yeoh winning the top prize as Best Actress in it, but also Jamie Lee Curtis, Best Supporting Actress in the role, and of course, Yuen getting. I think he got Best Supporting Actor, correct? Um,
Yes.
Talking about the circle being completed, I don't really have a great picture here, but not only that, they won for best director and best original screenplay, which is just absolutely remarkable. Lorena, this was a night to be remembered, and don't have a nice picture, but the point is that what an amazing night for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And one of my favorite lines that night, Lorena, that I was just discussing with you was when Michelle Yeoh got up on that podium and she says, "Ladies, don't let anyone ever tell you that you are past your prime." Is absolutely words that I will never forget from my entire life, Lorena. Even though I'm only in my 20s, Lorena, I will never forget this.
You and I both.
We will never forget this. But it was so much fun. I have to say, Lorena, what an interesting Oscar ceremony and what an interesting time. I really do feel like the ceremony is back and nothing was forced with this. This was a fun, engaging ceremony where everybody just seemed to have such a great time. Was this are the Oscars back? I mean, is this a sign that things are returning back to normal? What do you think in regards to the excitement for winning awards like this?
I think it's cautious excitement. Um, Everything, everywhere, all at once was not a film that could be ignored, and it's really because of its like sci-fi theming. Science fiction genre is not something that the Academy likes to reward with Best Picture. You'll get like Best Sound, Visual Effects, or something like that, but not Best Picture. No, not Best Picture. So the fact that it won so many awards because there's so much press about it and so many people talked about it, I would say again cautiously excited, because let's also remember, Spielberg didn't get any awards. Really, he didn't get an award for The Fablemans. I think he didn't get anything for that. Um, it's a wait and see type of thing. It's encouraging, especially since I heard they took the politics out. So let's hope that they stick with that. Just stick with the films, stick with who was nominated, stick with the who wore it better, and all the amazing fashions that we expect to see at the Oscars.
Absolutely, Lorena. I mean, obviously history was made, but it didn't even seem to matter, did it? Because it seemed like this film really had such an impact across the board, with so many different generations, although they say that the younger generation seems to enjoy it a little bit more. But even so, it was incredibly impactful. And the thing that I really can't seem to get out of my mind is, and I'm sure you know this, and I'm sure everybody watching this knows this, is that Michelle Yeoh is also a a very well trained martial artist who I have been watching for years in films like Crouching
Yes.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yes. Same here.
I mean, who could forget her amazing performances in those films where, I'm not going to say it necessarily wasn't acknowledged, but it certainly was something that she worked incredibly hard on. And it was not an easy film to make. It was a film
No.
that, she absolutely shined in. And that was over 20 years ago, Lorena. She's certainly a woman, a martial artist, a fantastic performer,
Mm-hmm.
actress, everything, who is so versatile, so amazing in her abilities. And I remember seeing her in that and being like, wow, this woman's incredible. What an
Mm-hmm.
interesting background she has, and what an accomplishment for her, because she has worked her ass off all these years. Certainly something that, I think if you look at her resume, if you look at all her accomplishments, the first question is, wow, this woman should have gotten tons of awards by now. But I also think it's very interesting too, Lorena, because I almost felt like that was a night, last night was a night for mature people in
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood. And maybe there is a trend towards this. After all, everything, everywhere, all at once is a story about a mother and a daughter. Certainly something that may not necessarily be a popular topic. You mentioned it was science fiction, maybe not necessarily a popular topic with the Academy, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe the Academy itself can see kind of the beauty in stories like this. And certainly what was interesting about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, she kind of played a mother role to the younger
Mm-hmm.
girl in the story as well. I just really am inspired by how Michelle Yeoh has pretty much shown what an incredible actress, what an incredible martial artist, what an incredible performer she is, and what versatility she has. Maybe, just absolutely remarkable, knocks it out of the park. I just really have to say that this is a wonderful time for the Oscars. And I don't even care if viewership was down. I don't care, about any of that stuff. This was one of the most exciting Oscars I've watched in years, Lorena, in years. What do you think about the fact that it really it's kind of like this very optimistic tone to it?
I would agree about the optimistic tone because, let's say, with the with the pandemic and with how the Oscars were but weren't really, and kind of like the tap was turned off. Now you have these films that are back out there, and not only that, but there are not only more films that people are talking about, but I would say the quality of films married with the popularity of films. For example, All Quiet on the Western Front, which, yes, your girl did read. I read that several times, had to read that in high school. Loved the adaptation, was absolutely fabulous. And when we're talking about Michelle Yeoh, because I almost feel like it's probably true for the both of us, grown up watching Michelle Yeoh and seeing her in all kinds of films, like you were saying, with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I actually woke up in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings when I saw Michelle Yeoh. And I gotta say, having her in that film, it was great to see her. Even hearing her voice in Minions: The Rise of Gru as the acupuncturist who was actually the kung fu master, and it worked because of her background. So it was funny to see, you hear her voice, but she's animated, in this particular role. But I do think that the Oscars kind of lucked out in that the films that got nominated were some films that obviously had a lot of love and passion and just great execution, coupled with popular notoriety as well. So it was, granted, I did not watch. I just wanted to hear. Only thing I cared about is if Michelle Yeoh won, if Jamie Lee Curtis won, and if RRR won for Best Original. So that's all I cared
Well,
about.
Excellent lead in, Lorraine, because let's go ahead and talk about Jamie Lee Curtis, pretty much somebody that all of us grew up watching,
Mhm,
especially those of us who love genre entertainment like you and I, and practically everybody here who watches this show, ladies of the PGS, Lorraine. Jamie Lee Curtis made a point to praise genre movie fans as she celebrates her first Oscar win. And it is very interesting that she chose to do that. She didn't have to do that, but it's undeniable that films like Halloween, films like Trading Places,
mhm,
all of the films that she starred in were very kind of outside of the box, very genre entertainment style kinds of things. A lot of my favorite roles are these kind of avant-garde things she did. That other movie that she did with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where she played the wife of a guy who's a undercover, True Lies, I think is what it's called. And
mhm,
she
yeah,
really has a laugh at herself. Of course, you and I both remember her in A Fish Called Wanda. You and I were just talking about that the other day. What do you
mhm.
think about the importance of her thanking genre entertainment fans? Hey, that's you and I, um, for supporting her, regardless of what role she played. Here, they've got the films that I mentioned.
Mhm.
What kind of importance do you think she's putting on the role of genre entertainment for the Oscars, no less, Lorena?
I think, first of all, I'm glad she did that because genre films are pretty much poo-pooed by the Academy. They're not really seen as serious enough with this particular group and tends to be forgotten or ignored unless it makes enough noise that they can't ignore it. And then they'll say, okay, we'll throw you an Oscar bone, so to speak, like something like best screenplay or best visual effects or some kind of obscure Oscar, still an Oscar, but not in that I say golden circle, like best picture, best actress, but you know what I'm talking about. That.
Yes.
So the fact that she thanked her fans made it feel as if at least she recognizes the importance of how much genre fans support films and to remind some and educate others that genre movie fans are important. Genre movies and films are important.
Yeah, Lorena, I couldn't have said that any better than what you've said. And of course, I think maybe even the genre films have come more into the forefront over the past 20 years. We've seen quite a shift in spending, let's say, trends. And of course, genre entertainment is it might be one of the leaders. I'm going to say horror, if you consider horror a genre entertainment, which I do, certainly is one of the leading areas of entertainment and movies that are making billions of dollars. And so this is not a surprise. Jamie Lee Curtis here, it says, won her first Academy Award. Thank the fans of her genre work for support through her movie career. At 64, won Best Supporting Actress for her role in Everything Everywhere All at Once, 45 years after making her debut in the 1978 Halloween. An emotional Curtis paid tribute to all the special people in her life,
Mhm.
shouting, "We just won an Oscar!" after collecting the gong. The star said, "I know it looks like I'm standing up here on my own, but I am not. There are hundreds of people and hundreds of people. We just won an Oscar." And here, of course, there she is in the role, dressed in the character, from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Certainly something very interesting. And she's always played interesting roles. Here it says, to my family, beautiful husband, Christopher Guest, my daughters, Annie and Ruby, and my sister Kelly, we just won an Oscar. All the people who supported the genre movies that I made for hundreds and hundreds of thousands, we just won the Oscar together. Well, Lorena, congratulations to us, Lorena. Congratulations to us. And of course, there she is with her famous parents.
Janet Leigh, the original Scream Queen in the classic Hitchcock film Psycho.
Absolutely. And of course, Tony
Mm,
Curtis, who has amazed us with films like Some Like It Hot. I think it was him.
yes.
and so many more films where he pretty much became sort of, the go-to Hollywood man of that era, where he was always, sort of this smart executive or whatever role he played.
Yeah.
Pretty typical man of that era, with her parents there. Of course, that was probably in the 80s when this picture was taken, but certainly they must be so proud wherever they are right now of their girl and the family legacy that she has left behind. Lorraine, it's just so exciting for this. And of course, that was not the only win that night. Obviously, when we talk about them winning, I think 7 Oscars, including Best Picture, it's no small feat. The idea that they could win that many, and it didn't feel, something, it didn't necessarily feel like inappropriate or like they didn't deserve it. It does feel like they worked very hard on this film and the film was
Oh,
very successful. It's
yeah.
very outside of the box. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is a formula that a lot of other movie producers and directors are going to try and emulate because it was so outside of the box. Certainly, it was not a film that you could say you see all the time. It was special, and I think that its special and uniqueness certainly came across. And I have to say that I'm pleased as punch that something that is science fiction has gotten this type of recognition. It actually feels, and it's not the same film, but it actually feels, like when 2001 Space Odyssey kind of came out and it was very different and,
Hmm.
supposed to be very avant-garde. That's what Everything Everywhere All at Once feels like me, but for a modern audience with our modern ideas of how it might feel to be doing something that is captured in the film. But Jamie Lee Curtis, also another winner who honestly you couldn't be prouder for, with her accomplishments there. And of course, the other winner is the young man who we remember from the Goonies,
Yes.
Huy Quan, who has had his fantastic run. I don't have his picture up there, but I believe that he's won. I think he got a bunch of awards: the Golden Globes, the SAGs, the BAFTAs. I can't remember if it's
Hmm.
all of them, but boy, congratulations to him. And something, it doesn't get old seeing him run up there, um, winning each and every time, talking about the American dream. You can almost see him as a kid in the Goonies, and of course in Indiana Jones. We're also proud of him and happy for him. It also feels like a victory for genre entertainment for him as well. Lorena, what do you think about that part? Also feeling like it's kind of completing a circle of actors who have been around for 40 years, Lorena.
I think it's wonderful, and I think it's definitely something that the Oscars should stand for. Not only does it reward like fresh faces, but also faces that have been in genre films, dropped out for a while, and have come back. I think it's just a wonderful, wonderful way to honor that, especially Huy Quan, especially when he was talking about he was about to give up literally because nothing had really been happening that much for him. So just for him getting that Oscar, for those of us who have been fans of his for years, ever since Goonies, even seeing him in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom as Short Round, that is one of my favorite, favorite, favorite performances of his.
I just had to pull up this picture of him.
I
He
love
was
it.
such an adorable. Now, it is true. He's an adorable child,
Hmm.
absolutely precious young boy, and a great actor at the time. Not easy to kind of star in these roles in the 80s, again, amongst incredible other like senior actors
Yes.
that he had to perform. And a lot of people spoke about his presence and what he did on the screen. And he's as equally strong an actor as an adult. It is like a dream come true. And you can't help but just love seeing his enthusiasm and excitement as he won, each award progressively. The excitement of it was just so beautiful. I have to say, it really is very satisfying to see. And it does feel like he's gotten the award for not just everything everywhere all at once, but for his lifetime here, from the Goonies to now, every performance that he put in, it really does feel very good. And we are so proud of him and his award acceptance speech about the American dream and everything. It's just absolutely wonderful.
It
Um,
is.
yeah, it was such a celebratory night last night. And of course, everybody is still kind of glowing from all this stuff. I'm sure they didn't even go to sleep last night, Lorena. I think
Oh no, no, no. They didn't. No, they didn't go to sleep. If they did, it was maybe for like an hour, and then wake up and like, is that really my Oscar? You know.
absolutely, and I promise you, of course, I'm getting to one of the most important wins is, of course, our guys RRR. And I hope I can pull this up. Oh, come on, guys, stop showing me jewelry. Um, you cannot ignore the fact that RRR did win Best Original Song in the Oscars. And you know something, Lorena? One of the very interesting thing about it is that you and I watched the film together, and you know it was the first time for me. I don't remember. Maybe you had seen it before, but regardless, you and I watched this film on your channel together. And you know I've watched hundreds of dance routines, just like you have. We've watched a
Hmm.
lot of them, in our lifetimes. Later, and Lorena, I've never seen such an incredible dance routine in my life, and I remember telling you that this was the most incredible dance routine that I had ever seen in my life, that this was my favorite dance routine. And I think you clipped it. I was like, this is my favorite dance. This is so good.
Clipped it. We did a reaction to it. It's up on my channel. And when we did the wide watch party for RRR, we had viewers, especially like our Indian viewers, are like, you guys are not ready for the number that's going to happen during, during this party. And we're just like, really? They're like, yeah, you're not ready. And we were not ready.
I
Oh
didn't
my gosh.
know. Lorena, when I saw these two men do that dance number, and I have to say, everybody was great in the dance number. I'm not saying that the
Yes.
other dancers were not amazing, but when I saw these two men do this dance number, Lorena, my jaw dropped. I could not believe how fantastic this dance was. And I thought to myself, to be honest with you, I just had to keep looking at them because I couldn't figure out how they were doing this dance move. And I was just mesmerized. It wasn't just one dancer doing it, it was both of them doing it at the same time. And I just was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And Lorena, I still get excited over it. You and I watched the film twice. Once, I believe, I can't remember the first one versus the second one might be the English dub, right,
Yeah,
Lorena?
first was we watched the Telugu dub, which is, well, the original, the film in the original Telugu language, and then we watched it in the English dub version as as well. And just to kind of add, if you've ever done any kind of dance choreography, you're doubly blown away by the precision of all of their movements that these guys did, especially the suspender dance. I'm like, how flawless that was. And, I think there's something else also why people are attracted to this. If you remember the big Hollywood movies of yesteryear, like
Yeah.
say Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, or White Christmas, which happens to be one of my favorites, and you would see these choreographed dance numbers. It wasn't just about the dancing, it was just like how sharp the precision was, where you're just like, they're not human, are they? And you're just watching and you're just absolutely mesmerized. And that, I believe, is what they captured. Kiravani, I believe, is the choreographer. What he captured with Natu Natu, seriously, a hallmark back to the old Hollywood dance numbers that they're not really done like they used to be, but you know them when you see them. Any dance choreographer, you study those routines like to the T. That's literally dance choreography 101, going back and watching those Hollywood movies. Like I'll say this, even West Side Story, the original, not the remake, original, and
Mhm.
watch that. Same. same thing. I'm so happy that they won the Oscar for that, because that dance is literally a worldwide sensation. Worldwide.
Well, I'm just going to read a little bit of it, Lorena, because you and I have been singing these praises, and I can't stop singing the praises. Like you said, Lorena, it is filling the void of what we saw traditional Hollywood. You used to have to be able to act, sing, and to dance in traditional Hollywood under the old studio system, and these guys can do all of those things. I saw moves that I have studied dance. I saw moves that I've never seen before, and I was so impressed. I'm still impressed with this every time I watch it. And in the article it says RR has done it again. Of course, I can't guys show you the dance, but it says in the entire of India has been waited with bated breath for the Oscars. One of the biggest wins of the night at the Oscars 2023 was the win of the best original song category by the RRR song Natu Natu. This marks the first time that an Indian movie has won in this category, making a historic moment for Indian cinema. And honestly, a lot of other things were nominated, but honestly, this was such an achievement. Congratulations, not only to the, as you mentioned, Lorena, the choreographer, and S. Ram Majuli's direction, but the performers here as we see them in this. It's just absolutely amazing. And of course, the ensemble cast who's in it. And I do want to encourage everybody who's watching to go ahead and just watch RR, because it is an incredible story. It says here it tells a fictional story of a fictional story of two Indian revolutionaries who fought against the British Raj and the Nazim of Harborjad, respectively. And it is composed by Mmmm Kiravani, as you said, Lorena, and written by Saravanelli Seraphim Satri. Honestly, the song is incredible. And the dancing is incredible. I got just a still of the two gentlemen, because it starts off, Lorena, where, and I'm not going to go too much into it more, but it starts off where they're kind of like at this party. They come to this party. It's a nice party. Everything's nice. And everybody's dancing. It's a nice dancing, exactly what you would expect at a party.
Your traditional social dancing.
And out of nowhere, these two guys all of a sudden start to do dance moves that just absolutely have still blown my mind away. I'm not even going to try and attempt to do it. Like, I'm not even going to, I remember after watching, I was like, I got to rewind and see if I can do this. I'm like, nah, I can't do this. It's too good, Lorena. It's too good for me to emulate. And these men are incredible dancers. They're incredible dancers. I know that they are also incredible actors and singers, but their dance moves, aside from everything else, aside from everything I saw, this thing really kind of lifted my spirits quite a lot. And I wasn't expecting that. I knew there was going to be dancing, but I wasn't expected to be lifted that way in the story. And so I think when a dance thing like this does that, it certainly does deserve an award. And Lorena, I have one more thing that I do want to talk about. And of course, you already mentioned it already, and it has to do with a film which you and I had been talking about, and of course It's All Quiet in the Western Front. And some of the things I just wanted to kind of point out about it is that Patterson, who's the woman who was behind bringing the film to be made, she's worked on this for 15 years. She's a former Olympian. She wanted to do, according to Lance from the Outcast Creative, she wanted to do more of a kind of art film where there wasn't very much talking in it. And so she ended up making a film where it does have a decent amount of dialogue, but there is a lot of scenes where it is very emotional. The sound, a lot of the scenes and choreography and the technical execution, even the way they decided to film it, some of the shots are quite profound and make such a stunning effect. It really is worthwhile seeing. It's on Netflix. Lorena,
Yes.
Netflix film won Oscars. Just think about this. It is available, I think, in some areas in Europe. You can go to the movies and see it, maybe even in the United States, in some of like the Angelica Theater or some of those, independent film theaters might be showing screenings of it. But everybody, I encourage you to watch it. There hasn't been very many depictions of this in the movies. And this was a complete German production. It's in German, but you can listen to it in English. But I encourage you to listen to it in German because it is a remarkable film, anti-war film. And of course, people are like, oh, it's an anti-war film, that's why I went on. I'm like, it doesn't matter. This film is remarkable. What an incredible reiteration and adaptation of an incredible book. Lorena, you said you read the book. We're very lucky to get stuff like this, Lorena, because we don't always get productions that are this high quality. And I'm still getting chills. I still get chills, even though I knew about it. of those scenes with the soldiers in the trenches and those flamethrowers, as I told you, because
Yes.
oh my gosh, it still really disturbs me to even see it now. I've seen photographs, and I swear to God, this is the last time I say, I've seen photographs of this. I've seen it. Like, you can go on the internet and it'll have black and white photos of men World War II,
Yes.
like this. These are men using flamethrowers on the trenches. But seeing it in the film, the dramatization, it really freaked me out, Lorena. And hearing the men just being so, killed and hurt and harmed from this, it really just, it breaks you. It breaks you. And I think that for an adaptation and for its historical significance, it did deserve these awards. They certainly went above and beyond the Call of Duty to making this story come alive. So, guys, if you don't feel like reading the book, I still encourage you to read the book. If you don't feel it, go ahead and watch this. You will not be disappointed. And I have a feeling, Lorena, they're going to start to show this in schools, Lorena. This is
They
going
are
to.
I agree with you 100% that they need to show this in schools. This is literally the forgotten war. When I learned about this in history class, they tell us about World War I and the prevalence, most notably, of biological warfare. And they talk about just how many lives that claimed. As a matter of fact, an American inventor, actually African American, Black American inventor, and gas mask that saved a whole bunch of American lives over there. But the human toll of World War One is astounding. I believe we lost more soldiers in World War One than we did in World War Two. So I am amazed at just how accurate the movie is, especially following Paul Baumer and his journey and what happened to him throughout the film. At the end of the film, literally, it was like what I'd read, boom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was on screen. So this is definitely something worth watching. It gets down to not only just the war, but the very human cost of war, both physically and mentally, and also the attitudes of the certain countries that were at war at the same time. So, I highly encourage people to watch this film. It's interesting because last year I happened to find the World War One service record of, I think he was like my second great uncle. Yeah, from Florida. He was literally in a regiment. They rode horses, and they were actually shipped. Over them and their horses shipped over to Germany during World War One.
Yeah, Lorena. I mean, there are, like you. I do have my grandfather fought in World War One with his brother Oliver, and he went in when he was 14. So there were a lot of these young, innocent boys who enlisted willingly into World War One, and fought and were forever affected by what happened. And this scene that I'm showing you may not be from the film, but from another digital still, maybe from the actual. Event, but I brought it up to make a point that this experience, which is something that at the time, and this is really the last thing I'm going to say. I keep saying that I'm just so affected. I think that we had so many profound films this year, Lorena, that it's just got me so excited. I'm just so excited. Okay, so the interesting thing about this is that the idea of someone not knowing what's in store for them if they're going to war. Now that's
Mhm.
a prosperous idea today. We know exactly what's going to happen to you if you go to the war. We know this. But at that time in 1900, their young men didn't know anything about this. There was they couldn't go on the internet and find out about what this experience was going to be like. And so I think the
No.
jarring idea of having to experience this, what we're looking at, is so, deleterious, and just you're forever changed after something like this. And they didn't see it coming from a mile away. So I really think that we need to keep seeing things like this. And, hopefully, regardless of what happens in the future, we have conflicts that are still going on around us that we see in the news all the time. Regardless of what happens, I just hope that people can see value in these experiences of these young, innocent, mainly innocent soldiers experience. They thought they knew what they were doing. Honestly, that's how the story gets depicted. They feel quite knowledgeable and ready to go ahead into this, only to be shocked by what they are experiencing. So it does still have that value to it, especially since they are so innocent and then they lose all of that. So yes, and Darth Plato makes some good points about the imagery. It was unique in history, and yeah, there
Hmm.
really was nothing else like it. And I hope we never see anything else like it. Okay, and all right, that's the last thing I wanted to say about this award ceremony. Films that were quite impactful and quite accessible. RRR is accessible, I think, still there on Netflix.
Yes, still
Uh,
on Netflix, although watch it in the original Telugu language with the English subtitles, trust me.
Absolutely. All Quiet is still available. Guys, go ahead and watch The Whale. I'm not going to talk too much about Brendan Fraser, but I'm happy that he won for Best Actor. Certainly a well deserved win from him. And he's been acting as well for over 40 years, I think. I remember him in the 80s. My favorite film with his was a film called With Honors. And of course, everybody knows who Brendan Fraser is.
Oh
But
yeah, absolutely.
this transformational role he played in The Whale.
Hmm.
Some people are questioning in it, and yet it has been awarded an Oscar. And I think that kudos to the costume designers and the makeup people for making him look a certain way for this film. And
Hmm.
we are going to continue to see people change and transformed, looking different from what they actually look like in film and in TV and on the stage. And it's going to continue. And that part of Hollywood and the mastery and amazing area of production will never go away. So guys, you just go ahead and enjoy the experience. There's no reason to even address what someone looks like or who they are before they're playing any of these roles. Let's just go ahead and enjoy those performances. All right, Lorena. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. Let's talk about this article, Lorena. Now, you recently did, first of all, you went on the Tron ride yesterday
Yes.
the parks.
Yes.
And that's a ride that you've been talking about for a long time. You report from the parks regularly. You also had a recent stream, and forgive me, I don't remember what it was, but you had another a stream about the parks, might have been 5 days ago, very specifically about the parks and speaking about the parks. So, as you can imagine, as both you and I can imagine, to see an article like this about Iger commenting on the park's price. And Lorena, even about 10 years ago, I remember going to the park 10 years ago, and the price was probably around $75. I'm going to say it was around there. Okay. Maybe it was a little bit more or less, but it was in the range of 75. It was not prorated, meaning that if you went on Saturday or Sunday, it was the same price if you went on Monday or Tuesday. So you knew you'd say, oh, I want to go for 4 days. It's $70 per day. And you knew that. Sometimes it might have actually been a little bit less, but at least you knew that if you went and you wanted to go during that time, you could do it. The reservation process did not exist at that time. And you could just go. You didn't have to worry about whether you wanted to go from one park to another park. There wasn't necessarily that concern. Now, things have changed quite a bit, and I'm not expecting everything to keep the same way. But even I, Lorena, was surprised, yes, I'd say in the last few years to see this prorated notion of if you go to the park on a Tuesday versus a Saturday, and the price could really be 70 or $80 in difference, that it kind of made the experience unobtainable for the average family to take a vacation. And Disney used to advertise. They used to say things like, "Oh, well, you know something? Why don't you take a Disney vacation? It's only $1,200 for the whole family." And it would used to be kind of like a cute commercial. And you say, "Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I could take my kids to go at Disney. We could be there for 4 or 5 days. It's a great vacation, a great thing to do for the family. You could stay at the park as long as you want. They had extra magic hours. I do remember this very specifically, where you're like collapsing. You're like, okay, fine, I'll stay till 11. And you're like, I can't stand up. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to keep walking. I don't care. And that was the fun though, Lorena. That was the fun that you were experiencing at the park. So, to get this article, which of course I don't have pulled up here, about Bob Iger talking about how the price is a concern. The price is a concern to him for someone who pretty much sets the price, right, Lorena?
In a way, he does, and in a way, he doesn't. So here's kind of, as CEO, he's at the top. The person who is running the parks will say that the CEO of the parks, they're the ones that are ultimately responsible, I believe, for the price hikes. It's just basically telling the CEO, yeah, guess what? We're gonna hike this up. Okay. But it's very interesting that Bob Iger says this because the price increases got their start under his watch. This is when you started to see the decline of degrees, when it used to be free to park at the Disney resorts. Like if you're a resort guest, you didn't have to pay for parking. You just had like this little paper, with your dates of stay in the window, and you could park it, all the parks for free, your parking lot for free. Decided, guess what? Now you're going to have to pay for parking anywhere between $18 to $25 a day, depending on the category of your resort that you're staying at. Now, for families on a budget, you're telling me that you now have like almost an extra $200 if you're staying for a week, which is a lot of money to some families, especially on a budget when they've already got their budget set, for Disney. So there's that. Then the price of the tickets went up. On top of that, they changed the Fast Pass to like Fast Pass Plus, and now you had to get up 6 o'clock in the darn morning to make park reservations. The prices of food went up. The prices of merchandise started to go up. It used to be your value resort. You could stay for like maybe 80 to 90, possibly 100 to 110 around the holidays, but that was understandable. No, now you can't get into a value resort for less than $200 during value season, if you could. So I find it interesting that Bob Iger is saying this now because he didn't say a word about it back then when he basically rubber stamped these price hikes that were going on. You didn't hear anything. You just heard, well, we're delivering a quality experience and all of that. And that was the excuses that they gave for it. But I remember when I went in 2018, which was the worst Disney trip that I had, to the point where I didn't go and again until I moved back here, was when I went. It was absolutely ridiculous. Granted, I got 30% off of my room at the Grand Floridian, and I got, upgraded gratis, probably because how many times I've been to the parks. Because yes, they do keep track. So they know, they look me up, and it's just like, we don't have a limit for you, because I've been going since I was 2 years old. It was like the parks were crowded, dirty. The prices for merchandise and food was astronomical. You used to have the dining plan that included tip, and it was pretty much limitless. You could pick what you want. Now, the dining plan had you stuck to like the worst cuts, did not include tip, and it was just a mess. So I just really think it's disingenuous of him to say this now. Of course, he's forced to say this now because even the Disney blogs, where I call them the pixie dusters, it's not just me. Clownfish TV says that too. I'm smart enough to know pixie dust is a hell of a drug. So I'm very aware of how powerful that is. But now those particular Disney vloggers and vloggers are just like, Disney is insanely overpriced and something needs to change. So now I think that they're forced now to go back to, okay, well, let's try to make Disney more affordable. We're getting rid of the parking fees, but the merchandise and everything else is still high. I mean, last night, I think I paid $6 for a cinnamon roll and $7 for a non-alcoholic frozen drink. That's still high. Just saying.
Yeah, that is pretty high. And it is the little things that make a difference when you're doing stuff like this. Because after all, when you go to these parks, you're spending the whole day there. You're not going to be there for like an hour or two. It's not an in and out experience.
You're
You're
not doing the pass holder thing where you're in there for 2 or 3 hours and out. No, you
there. No,
stuck there.
you are there and you're there from morning till night oftentimes, and if you're bringing children, they're awake, maybe you got the stroller with you, they're asleep, you're pretty much spending 8 to 10 hours, maybe 12 hours in this place. So you're depending upon a lot of things like food, refreshments. Sometimes you get cold or you're hot, you might have to buy something. The kids get sick on their clothes, maybe you have to buy another outfit or something. I went with my mom once and she was cold, so I had to buy her a coat. There's all these little things that happen while you're at the parks. You see something you love, you want to pick it up. Just having that fun experience of what it means to be at the park. And as I told you, Lorena, I always have to go by and see Alice every single time I go to the park. I must go and see her. There are very specific things that we all have and cherish when we go to the parks that we want to do. And part of those experiences oftentimes does include spending money, in addition to the fee that we pay to get there. The last thing we want to think about is, it's going to cost us an extra $250 to $300 a day. Like, that's not anything anybody has in their budget to really spend, nor should they feel that they have to do that. Certainly we're going to continue to go to the parks, and there's absolutely no reason why we wouldn't continue to go to the parks, because we love to go to the parks. But the idea of, this kind of felt, very, I don't know, cheeky. I don't even know how to say it. So he says that the parks were priced too high in zeal to grow profit. It's a brand that needs to be accessible. And it says he acknowledged that the fans had a right to be irked as the theme ticket park prices crept high under the previous regime. It wasn't the best way to manage the brand. It needs to be more accessible. He told a Morgan Stanley media conference. And I think that in our zeal to grow, we may have been a bit too aggressive. And I think there's a way to continue to grow our business, but be smarter in how we do the price to maintain a brand of value, of accessibility.
And I so don't freaking believe him. The first line that he said, because if that was true, those unpopular hikes wouldn't have been done, including increasing the amount to rent strollers. Young families have the least amount of disposable income, and you jack the price up on strollers. It's like, no, you don't really believe that. You don't really believe that. The first job of the CEO, basically, you're trying to make sure to maximize profit, and you will continue to do that until market forces oppose you and force you to make a correction. And that's what's happening now. But the tactful thing for him to say, or say the tap dance that he has to say that. But in reality, nah, he didn't believe that.
Yeah. And this is this is very interesting. Excuse me. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hold on one second. He says that, please excuse me.
Mhm.
Iger made the move by January, lowering some. I don't know whether this is true. At the theme parks, Iger made a move by January, lowering some prices and adding perks that included, a Walt Disney, in Orlando, resuming complimentary self parking. I don't remember any of this stuff, but relaxing reservation requirements for annual pass holders, offering free photo downloads with Genie service at Disneyland. They expanded park hopping hours and added
Mhm.
more lowest price day tickets, as well as complimentary photos. But
This
this was paired with, more hassles. For example, people buying a ticket for a ride, but then if you want a fast pass, you just spend extra money for the ride. And it's kind of like, well, you've already spent a certain amount of money for the ride. Now you're going to have to go ahead and spend extra money, these add-ons, which are, I think were kind of unfair. You should just be able to walk onto the line, and things should go normally. But they're expecting people to go ahead and spend that money because they don't want to wait on a line. Um, It says the
Mhm.
shifts have resonated extremely well with customers, and we will not only continue to listen, but we'll continue to adjust. It doesn't feel like they're going to do that, Reina.
They really aren't. I mean, the things that they've changed are things that in the long run, either one, isn't really costing them any money, and two, was something that they shouldn't have done really in the first place with the parking. Yeah, okay, we'll give you free parking. That really didn't cost Disney anything. They just decided to do it to help up the share price. That's why they started charging for parking. As for pass holders, yeah, after 2 p.m., you don't have to have a reservation if you're a pass holder. Does that really cost you anything, Disney anything? No, no, it really does not. The fact that, with Photo Pass, I don't really use it that much. Some people do. I've never bought it. Even when I came in from out of town to visit, I never bought PhotoPass. Again, something that isn't really going to cost them a whole lot. Where people are sinking their money in are the ticket prices. And okay, I just want to show
Oh,
my
do you have it,
screen. Is that
Lorraine?
okay? Yeah,
Oh,
I'll show
please.
you guys. I'll show
Thank
you
you.
guys, just so
Okay.
you have an idea. And I should have taken a picture yesterday. Like, this is the Florida resident price. Okay, they're running some special where it starts at 87.50 a day. So basically per person it's $175 per ticket for a two day ticket.
Mhm.
But if you are from out of town, okay, they tout how the price goes down for the number of days. Well, see, let's look at this here. Different prices for different days. And
Yes.
if I push this up to maybe like the summer or whatever, so if we say, okay, I want a 7 day ticket, I'm going to be there from like the 21st. Okay, so here we go. So this is one park per day for 7 days for one ticket, $616.75. Do you want the water park? Well, guess what? That's going to cost you $683.75. Do you want to be able to park hop? $706.75. Do you want the park hopper plus where you can go to the parks and the water parks? $726.75. Now, that may not seem like a lot to some people, but if you are a family of four on a budget, we're talking 740, almost $3,000, and you haven't even eaten yet or
Yeah.
picked a hotel yet.
It's a small fortune, Lorena, and completely out of the reach of the average household. I don't want to pay that much. I can probably afford it, but I don't want to pay that much. I think it's too much. I think it's price gouging, and I think it's really unfair. And Lorena, you did show in one of the previous screens that if you just do one day, it's 114, and then of course you get a discount if you add on extra days, but in some circumstances, and perhaps not in this slide, depending upon the time of year, those weekend days can be $200. They can be a lot.
Ooh,
And
I'm trying to find it. As a matter of fact, I'm going for, yeah, see, here's what I'm talking about. It's Christmas week.
yeah, that's not fair.
They've done this variable pricing thing where it used to be just one price.
Yeah, and you know something, if you and I were booking, let's say we were doing an actual booking, and as we're doing it, we would see that the price was higher because people have
Mhm.
already booked for many of those days. And what happens is, this is sort of like, this is our general pricing. If you go ahead and try to reserve, because you have to make these reservations, it might be something like in the 150 to 170 range for some of the prices. It's absolutely outrageous, guys. Lorena, I don't even know how a family can afford it. Um, yeah, I
You
just
know, it's tough. I know, sorry, I'm interrupt you.
no, it's okay.
It's tough for some families. I remember friends of mine that they would go several times a year when Disney was reasonably priced. And people kind of said, okay, drive down, we have our budget, we saved all year, we're going to go to Disney, and it didn't break the bank. Now, families are thinking twice. They're either like, we're not going to go now, or if we go, it's a one and done. And we're
Hmm.
not even trying to go back. Some families save for years to be able to go, where it used to be, we save for a couple of months or we save for like a year and we have our trip paid for and we go. Yeah, they're either saving longer or something that I do not recommend at all. You have people who are using their credit cards
Yeah.
and 401ks to
Yeah.
pay for a trip to Disney.
It's sad. It's sad that it's come to this, and it's not turning around. Like, those prices are not budging. So
No.
it's really a shame. And before we leave, because we only have a few minutes left in the show tonight, and I'm not going to keep you long, I promise, guys. We're going to wrap this up, but we needed to talk about those prices, because to make a comment about the prices and kind of pretend like you didn't have anything to do with it, it seemed a bit odd. But I just wanted to mention that William Shatner has his new documentary, which will be premiering at South by Southwest, called he's turning 92 and blasting aboard. He did the space
Yeah.
from last year, and everybody remembers that. He still looks fantastic. He's full of life. The documentary is called "You Can Call Me Bill." Yes, I will call you Bill. Hello, Bill. Yeah, it's just I think it's wonderful that he's doing stuff like this, and God bless him for still keeping on, still going. We enjoy seeing him so much. He's such a big role. He has a big space in genre entertainment, honestly. Lorena, one of the originals, at least. I just wanted to mention it. I'm sure all of you already know about it, but I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. So but Lorena, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It has been another wonderful Ladies of the PGS episode. Lorena, where can people find you?
Well, folks, you can find me on Twitter with my hot takes on pop culture and Disney and other things. You can find me on Instagram. And of course, you can find me on YouTube during various live streams, videos, also including as well. And you definitely want to be on the lookout for our watch party for John Wick 2, which includes myself, and Retro Nerd Girl. We're so excited, so excited. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel to find out when that is going to premiere.
Absolutely, everybody. Please like and subscribe to Lorena Creole's channel. Lorena and I are going to be doing a watch party tonight for The Last of Us. It's going to be the last watch party for The Last at 9 p.m. It's going to be on Positive Fandom, my channel. So, guys, please do like and subscribe to Positive Fandom, like and subscribe to Lorena Creole's channel as well. And, guys, please do like and subscribe to the Burnettwork here. We do appreciate all of you watching and joining us for all of these watch parties and things that Lorena and I are doing. We so appreciate your support. So do please check us out tonight. Check us out tomorrow night as well. And guys, Lorena and I are also going to be doing a watch party for Smile on Saturday at 5 o'clock for our Saturday night horrors, leading into the summer. It's going to get crazy with these horror films that Lorena and I are doing. Last time we watched Megan, that was so good.
Oh, so good. It was so good.
We are just enjoying this, guys. Here's Lorena's channel here. Make sure you like and subscribe to her channel. Tom Jr. Jackson, I don't see your thing there. So if you do see that, Tom Jr. Jackson, subscribe to Tom Jr. Jackson's channel as well. We are all good people, Tom. Thank you for everything, Tom. You are always so helpful, and we so appreciate you. Guys, that's pretty much it for tonight's show. Lorena, it was a great show. There was so much to talk about. Oh, I just enjoy the show so much. And guys, remember, no matter where you are out there in the galaxy, no matter what you're doing, always remember to please be kind, everybody. Take
Mhm.
care. Bye.